right, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Woohoo! Thank you both for serving the sentence and carrying us all over. It's great. So, this is a reason why you don't want to go more than 24 hours without sleeping. But hey, I'm an experiential learner. So my company asked me if I wanted to go to China in place of my boss because he was sick. And I thought, great, I've never been to Asia. As I thought about it though, it was a Tuesday and I needed to leave on that coming Sunday. I was recently divorced and I had to be home the following Thursday for my son. So, I was going to be in China for 72 hours. What could go wrong? The longest flight I'd ever taken was 8 hours. This was 14 and a half, and I thought I can do this. It'll be fine. And my view of travel for work is that you get to go to so many great places, and you can decide if you ever want to go back. So this seemed great. So I went online and I started looking for flights, and the only flight that was direct on that Sunday was sold out, except for one middle seat in economy. And I thought, it's okay, I can do this. And my friends tried to tell me to get the Ambien. They tried to tell me to get the drugs, but no, I didn't do it. I wanted to be fresh for my meetings when I got there. So as I was packing that weekend for my trip, and I put my best suits in the bag, I decided that I needed something that was Mandarin Oriental worthy. So I was going to the Mandarin Oriental Hotel Technology Conference in Hong Kong and Macau. And Mandarin is one of the highest-end luxury hotel chains in the world. And I grew up, like you, in a trailer park. And so whenever I do anything with Mandarin, I always feel a bit like an imposter. So I was like, I have got to get something that makes me make the grade with Mandarin. So I had my eye on this purple Coach Poppy bag. And this bag was $295. And I don't even carry a purse. I don't. But I wanted this bag, and it was shiny, and it was bright, and it was big enough for my laptop and the power cords. So I go to the mall, and I walk in the store, and I hold it. And she takes on an energy and a life of her own. I immediately named her Violet. And I want Violet more than I've ever really wanted anything, which I'm ashamed and pleased to say to you. So, I walk in and out of the store twice to get up the courage to buy Violet. I finally go back and I purchase her. We walk out, and I have a newfound confidence that I can't even explain. So if you're considering a purse of a high price, maybe get it. So I get on the plane, and I think I've arrived. Now I have Violet, I'm going to the Mandarin conference, I'm going to Asia for the first time. So I get in the plane, and I'm in that middle seat in economy, and I realize that I have not arrived. This is not arriving in any way, shape, or form. And I was so sorry that I didn't have the drugs. And I realized that when I got there, I was not going to be fresh for those meetings. No, I wasn't. But I persevered. I got off the plane, and I've traveled extensively in my career. And I've been all over the world, in 49 of the 50 states. But I had never been to Asia, and I was not prepared for what I experienced in Hong Kong. The people, so many people, the congestion, the noise, and the smells. Now at this point, I've been up for more than 20 hours, so maybe that's why I'm noticing the cabbage smell everywhere I go. But I got out of customs and I went and met my driver, and he did not speak English, and he took me to a big building that kind of looked like a mall. And he handed me a piece of paper, and he said ferry and pointed at the door. So I go in. There are retail shops, and I notice there's an escalator and a ticket counter at the top. So I walk up, I get up there, and my neighbors are all very close to me. They're touching me, and not in a good way. So I purchase my ticket, and the guy hands me another ticket, a ticket, and it has a number on it, and he says, hurry, and points to the escalator going down. I run down, I get to the bottom, the ferry is there, and it has a number on it, so I knew where I was going. I will tell you this, they are organized in Hong Kong, they really are. So I hop on the ferry, and it's like a Wendella boat, like here in Chicago on the river. So the upper section was open, the bottom is enclosed, and it was a cold and drizzly day. So I had to be crammed into the bottom area with all the people. And I was not feeling well, and there were business people, there were students, there were parents with children who were crying, and there was a woman near me who had some sort of hot pot, and she was eating out of it. And I think that's where the cabbage like really sunk in for me. I got off the ferry and I was counting the hours and where I had to be next, and I realized I was not going to get a little nap or anything like that. So I ran into the hotel, I checked in, it was so Mandarin worthy, and I was so glad that Violet was with me. They had personalized gifts for you in the room, they had a snack, they had a signature drink. I had time for none of that. I put on my best blue pinstripe suit, and I grabbed Violet, and I headed to our presentations. So this is a tech conference, and every vendor was going to present, and I was last. So it was Nokia and Samsung, and they had created these amazing videos with music and Mandarins, logos and everything in them. Now, my company, we sold 25-year-old software. And I had a PowerPoint that was no audio, no video. It was terrible. Our software was so old that they call her Betty White. So I thought that presentation was never going to end. And it finally got over, and it was time for the cocktail party. And my superpower is happy hour. I was ready to shine. My boss and my company and customers are impressed with my ability to drink wine, beer, and cocktails all in the same evening and not miss a beat. My memory actually gets better. So we go to the cocktail party, and then my customer, Bong Valdez, that is really his name, and he says, let's go to happy hour in the bar. I say, great. So Bong is a cross between an Asian Dean Martin and a tobacco grower in the high country. He smoked nonstop the whole time, and so we went to the happy hour, and I thought, boy, these people can really drink. And then he said, let's go to the MGM casino and see, he gets some steak and see the lady dancers. And I looked at somebody and I said, the strippers? They go, oh no, these are just dancers. So we go there. Now I've been up way more than 24 hours. And the whole time I was there, from the time I got into the hotel until we went to the cocktail party and then the happy hour and then the casino, we were inside. So everything you just kept walking through. So I was really in the twilight zone. So after the steak and lady dancers, Bong says, let's go to a strip club. Now, I had either made the mistake or taken the opportunity to tell Bong that I was Peppermint Patty, AKA a lesbian. So he saw me as another brother. And so I was invited to go to the strip club with them. And you really haven't lived until you've been in Macau with 5 customers and you don't speak the language, and you're at a strip club. So by 3:30 in the morning, I made it back to my room, and I had to be on the cabbage-smelling ferry at 7:30 to get back to Hong Kong for a meeting with the global head of the spa division for Mandarin. He was very uptight, and I was nervous about the meeting. But I got on the ferry, and I had been overserved. And if I find a bitch who overserves me, she's in big trouble. But anyway, Violet was with me. I'm in another one of my best suits, and Violet says, suck it up, Buttercup, you can do hard things. So I walk in to meet Andrew, and he's like sneezing and coughing, and he's like, you know, you came all this way, I didn't want to cancel. And I'm like, man, you could have canceled. But anyway, we're going through the meeting, and I said to him, well, you know, I'm not feeling well myself. I think it's the jet lag. And he looked at me, he goes, you were with Bong in Macau. And so we started laughing. So we got about halfway through the meeting, and I thought, I'm going to throw up. Seriously, I am going to throw up in the offices of Mandarin Oriental. And so I looked around the room, and I was desperate for a puke pan, because that's what you do. And so there was a trash can under his desk, and I'm like, that's never going to work. And then I looked at the plant next to me. It's a living plant. You can't throw up in that. And then I looked down, and she was beaming and shiny. And I thought, if I'm going to have to throw up, I'm going to have to throw up in Violet. Now, as you might have already gathered, Violet has a mind of her own. Like, well, her and I are in communication at this point. And she picked up on the vibe that I might throw up in her. And she says, oh, hell no. And at that moment, I sucked it up. Maybe for Violet, maybe for Mandarin, maybe for myself. I made it through the meeting, and so as Andrew and I walked out, we exchanged pleasantries. We went to the front desk. Thank God the hotel I was staying in was in their office building, and I had an early check-in. I got up to my room, barely. I put Violet down by the bathroom door, and I proceeded to throw up for several hours. Finally, I woke up later, and there she was, beaming, still shiny and new. And she said to me, I'm so thankful that you didn't throw up in me, because neither of us would have ever been the same. And I said, right? And she said, this is why you shouldn't go more than 24 hours without sleeping.